The supermarket manager threw coffee at a black mother, not knowing she was a human rights lawyer secretly recording. It wasn't the first time Maya had coffee thrown at her, but it was definitely the last time someone would do it without consequences. The man in front of her, mid-40s, pale, angry, a supermarket manager named Dennis, had no clue who she really was. To him, she was just another black woman in worn-out jeans, holding her toddler's hand while buying groceries late at night. To him, she was invisible. But Maya Sinclair was not invisible. She was a Harvard-educated civil rights lawyer. And tonight, she was on a mission. Maya had spent months working undercover, visiting suburban supermarkets known for discriminatory practices. Her nonprofit, Justice Lens, specialized in gathering covert evidence of systemic racism in public spaces. They'd exposed restaurants, retail chains, even a bank. But this a supermarket where black customers were routinely followed, harassed, and denied service. This was personal. It had started as a whisper online. Anonymous posts, angry Reddit threads, shaky TikTok videos quickly taken down. Mothers talking about how store security would trail them, check their bags, sometimes even accuse their children of stealing candy. Maya couldn't ignore it. She'd grown up with that same sharp-eyed scrutiny. So here she was, Saturday night, pushing a cheap metal cart past freezer aisles with her daughter Layla, her hidden button camera quietly recording everything. They had almost made it out when Dennis appeared. He wasn't supposed to be working that shift. Maya recognized him from employee rosters she'd memorized. Store manager, known for being especially aggressive with shoplifters. "Hey!" Dennis barked. His voice sliced through the fluorescent-lit quiet. Shoppers turned their heads. Maya felt her stomach knot. Layla squeezed her hand tighter. "Yes?" Maya asked, voice calm, neutral. This wasn't her first time under fire. Dennis's eyes scanned her cart, a gallon of milk, bread, a small bag of apples, baby formula. "You pay for that formula?" he sneered. Maya's heart thumped, slow and deliberate. She didn't answer right away. Silence was often the sharpest weapon. "Receipt," Dennis demanded, stepping closer. Maya pulled it slowly from her pocket, handed it over without a word. But Dennis didn't even look at it. Instead, his hand darted forward, knocking the receipt from her fingers. His other hand, carrying a half-empty coffee cup, twitched. "You people," he muttered, loud enough for everyone to hear, "always playing games." There it was, the line. Maya's lawyer mind registered everything in seconds. The volume of his voice, the positioning of witnesses, the grainy security camera above aisle 3. But before she could say anything else, Dennis threw the coffee. A sharp splash of lukewarm liquid hit her shoulder, splattered across Layla's small pink jacket. The supermarket gasped as one. Maya didn't flinch. Her daughter cried out, startled, not hurt. Dennis realized too late. His mouth opened in a slow motion "oh no" as Maya reached calmly into her jacket pocket, pulling out her official ID badge, the words civil rights attorney flashing in gold letters beneath her name. Her voice stayed quiet, razor sharp. "My name is Maya Sinclair," she said, her camera still running. "You're going to want to call your corporate office right now." Someone from Produce dropped their avocado. It wasn't rage on Maya's face. It wasn't even triumph. It was something colder, certainty. The kind of certainty that only comes when the law is on your side and there's no escaping it. From there, things happened fast. The assistant manager appeared, panicked and sweating. Customers pulled out phones. Security guards, suddenly unsure, stepped back. Dennis's hand shook. His voice dropped to a defensive mumble. "I didn't mean." Maya didn't raise her voice. That wasn't her style. Instead, she knelt, wiping coffee from Layla's jacket with the sleeve of her blouse, never once looking away from Dennis. Her mind replayed it all in perfect legal clarity. Racial slur, recorded. Assault, recorded. Corporate liability, insured. And as the assistant manager begged her not to press charges, Maya simply asked for the regional director's number and handed her hidden camera to a bystander. "Upload this," she said. #JusticeLens. The crowd around them erupted. Not in violence but applause. Quiet at first, then louder. By midnight, the video had over 2 million views. But that wasn't the end. That was just the first step. Maya knew how these things worked. Viral fame wasn't the same as real change. Policies had to shift. Lawsuits had to follow. And as she walked Layla back to their car, still smelling faintly of cheap supermarket coffee, Maya felt something she hadn't in a long time. Hope. The supermarket manager threw coffee at a black mother, not knowing she was a human rights lawyer secretly recording. When Maya opened her inbox the next morning, it was already overflowing. Emails from news agencies, CNN, MSNBC, local affiliates. Messages from civil rights organizations she'd worked with. Even a note from an old law professor. Proud of you, Maya. The world needed this. But she wasn't proud, not yet. Viral moments came and went. Her job wasn't about moments. It was about building cases that lasted. By 9 a.m., her team had already set up a briefing at Justice Lens headquarters, a converted industrial space in downtown Atlanta, all exposed brick and steel beams. The office was buzzing like a beehive. Dozens of lawyers, interns, and video analysts huddled over laptops, reviewing footage from the supermarket incident frame by frame. As Maya stepped inside, her lead investigator, Jordan Reyes, approached with 2 coffees, one black, one with oat milk and honey. Jordan was the kind of colleague who always noticed the small things. You slept? Jordan asked, skeptical. Maya accepted the coffee but didn't answer. They stood by the large glass wall where the video replayed on loop. The moment Dennis threw the coffee, the sharp intake of breath from the crowd. Public reactions exactly what we expected, Jordan said, scrolling through Twitter feeds on a tablet. The supermarket's corporate page is flooded, and there's already a change.org petition calling for Dennis's termination. Maya's jaw tightened. We're not here to get one man fired, she said quietly. This isn't about Dennis. It's about the system that trained him to see me as a threat, that taught him he could get away with it. Jordan nodded, respecting the bigger picture. I've already drafted letters to their corporate counsel, Jordan added. We're setting up discovery requests, internal policy manuals, employee training guides, security footage from the last 6 months. You sure you want to go that deep? Maya didn't hesitate. All the way, she said. This wasn't her first rodeo. Years ago, Maya had fought a similar case against a luxury department store that was secretly tracking black shoppers with RFID tags. That case had taken 18 months and 2 federal subpoenas. But it had ended with a landmark settlement and sweeping policy changes nationwide. She was ready to do it again. As the morning unfolded, her team strategized. Class action potential? High. State versus federal jurisdiction? Likely both. Media narrative? Control it before corporate spins a half-apology video. By noon, Maya finally took a moment to call her mother. Her mother's voice crackled through the line, warm and familiar. Baby, she said, I saw you on TV. That manha had no idea. No, Maya agreed softly. He didn't. For a moment, they both sat in silence. It wasn't just about the incident. It was about all the times Maya's mother had been followed through stores in the 80s. About her grandmother's quiet pride whenever Maya brought home good grades. About generations of women being told they didn't belong in spaces like supermarkets, boardrooms, courtrooms. Now Maya was in all of them. Later that afternoon, the supermarket chain released an official statement. It was exactly what Maya expected. We apologize for the unfortunate incident involving a valued customer. The manager involved has been placed on administrative leave while we conduct an internal review. It wasn't enough. By 3 p.m., Maya and her legal team had filed the first lawsuit, Sinclair versus Midtown Market Inc. Claim: systemic racial discrimination, negligent hiring and training, emotional distress, and assault. The filing made headlines instantly. But while the legal gears turned, Maya also knew public perception mattered. That night, she appeared on a national talk show, a virtual interview, calm lighting framing her against Justice Lens's exposed brick walls. The host, a famous journalist known for sharp interviews, asked the question everyone was thinking, Ms. Sinclair, some people online are saying this was staged. That you went there looking for trouble. Maya didn't flinch. I went there looking for groceries, she said. Like any mother. But I also went there prepared because I knew the pattern. When patterns repeat often enough, it's not random, it's systemic. Her voice carried weight. By the end of the segment, justice for Maya was trending globally. But not everyone was supportive. The backlash came fast. Anonymous threats, hateful comments, corporate lobbyists whispering to reporters that Maya was attention-seeking. Maya didn't let it rattle her. But late that night, after Layla was asleep, she sat on her apartment balcony staring out at the Atlanta skyline and allowed herself one quiet moment of doubt. Was it really going to change anything? And then her phone buzzed with a new message. It was a video. A woman Latina, mid-30s, standing in front of the same supermarket, holding her own hidden camera. Her voice shaky but determined. I was scared to speak up until I saw Maya Sinclair. But now I'm ready. Maya watched it twice. Then she exhaled slowly and stood up. The next morning, she called an emergency press conference. Under bright cameras, she didn't just talk about her lawsuit. She launched something bigger, the Community Witness Project. A public platform where anyone who had experienced racial profiling in stores could upload videos, write testimonials, and share evidence. Because, Maya said into the microphones, one camera isn't enough, but thousands. That's how we build undeniable truth. From there, everything escalated. Within a week, dozens of similar incidents poured in. The case file expanded. National organizations offered support. The supermarket chain's CEO tried to reach out personally, offering a quiet settlement. Maya declined. This isn't about hush money, she said flatly. It's about transformation. By the second week, Justice Lenz had partnered with 2 U.S. senators to draft new legislation, the Fair Commerce Protection Act, designed to penalize businesses that engage in repeated, documented acts of racial discrimination. The supermarket chain wasn't just facing one lawsuit anymore. It was at the center of a national reckoning. One night, as Maya reviewed deposition notes at her office, Jordan walked in carrying an envelope. You should see this, he said quietly. Inside was a handwritten letter. No return address. Dear Ms. Sinclair, I was there that night. I was too scared to speak up. I saw everything. I'm sorry I didn't help, but I want to testify now. Whatever it takes. Maya closed her eyes, holding the letter carefully. One person. One witness. Sometimes that's all it takes to tip history. The supermarket manager threw coffee at a black mother, not knowing she was a human rights lawyer secretly recording. The courtroom was quieter than Maya had expected. Despite the media storm, despite the hundreds gathered outside, inside the oak-paneled federal court, it was just lawyers, clerks, a judge, and silence heavy as a storm waiting to break. This wasn't a flashy trial. It wasn't meant to be. Maya had chosen a bench trial, no jury, to keep the focus sharp. A single judge would decide if Midtown Market Incorporated had systematically discriminated against customers of color, and if Maya's case could set a federal precedent. But even here, the stakes were bigger than one room. Jordan sat beside her at the plaintiff's table, sliding a yellow legal pad toward her with neat underlined notes. Key witness order. Maya Sinclair. Video expert. Customer testimonials. Maya gave a brief nod. Her heart was steady. This wasn't her first trial, but it was the first that felt this personal. When her name was called, she stood. The courtroom watched as Maya walked to the witness stand in a tailored navy suit, hair braided down her back, calm and deliberate. The opposing counsel, a sharp-looking white man named Mr. Gallagher, began his cross-examination. Ms. Sinclair, he said, voice smooth like a salesman. You've built quite a career on cases like this, haven't you? Maya didn't blink. I've built my career on fighting injustice, she said simply. Gallagher smiled as if that proved his point. And you were prepared that night. Camera, ID badge, public platform waiting. Isn't it fair to say you wanted something like this to happen? A ripple went through the gallery. Maya answered evenly, I wanted to buy groceries without being harassed. I also wanted evidence if I wasn't allowed that basic dignity. Gallagher pressed harder. You could have left quietly. Why escalate it into a national spectacle? Maya let her gaze sweep across the room from the judge to the gallery to the young black law student taking notes in the back row. Because walking away quietly hasn't changed anything for the last 100 years, she said. Silence again. No objections. When she stepped down, Maya felt the weight of every lawyer who'd come before her. Thurgood Marshall, Polly Murray, her own mentors. The trial stretched over days. Testimony after testimony. A Latina mother who'd been accused of stealing baby wipes. A black teenager detained by store security for acting suspicious. An elderly couple who stopped shopping there entirely after too many humiliating incidents. Each voice added another brick to the wall Maya was building. And always, behind the legal arguments, there was the video. The footage of Dennis. The coffee. The crowd gasping. By the end of the week, Midtown Market Incorporated's legal team had shifted tactics, from outright denial to quiet damage control. Their CEO even released a new public statement. We recognize the need for better training and inclusivity at all levels of our company. We are committed to working with community leaders to address these issues. But Maya knew what that really meant. They could feel the walls closing in. Late Friday night, after court adjourned, Maya sat alone in her office staring at the case files spread across her desk. Layla was asleep in the next room on a small cot. Maya had brought her to the office more nights than she cared to count. Jordan knocked gently before stepping in, holding a bottle of sparkling water and 2 glasses. You know, he said, pouring a glass and handing it over. Win or lose, this case is already changing things. Maya didn't answer right away. Her eyes flicked to the Community Witness Project map on her office wall, hundreds of red pins now covering the country. Each one a testimony. I don't care about one case, she said finally. I care about breaking the pattern. Jordan raised his glass in quiet agreement. When the verdict finally came 2 weeks later, the courtroom was full. The judge's voice was steady and measured. This court finds in favor of the plaintiff, Maya Sinclair, and rules that Midtown Market Incorporated has engaged in systemic discriminatory practices in violation of federal civil rights statutes. The room didn't erupt. There was no cheering. Just an enormous exhale, like a city letting out a breath it had held too long. Damages were awarded. Policies mandated. But more importantly, the judgment set a federal precedent that would ripple through corporate law for decades. Outside, reporters swarmed. Cameras flashed. But Maya wasn't interested in giving another sound bite. Instead, she knelt beside Layla on the courthouse steps, brushing a curl from her daughter's forehead. Did we win? Layla asked, small voice hopeful. Maya smiled. We did. Layla hugged her tight. That night, Maya turned her phone off. No press calls. No emails. She sat on her balcony once again, watching the skyline. But this time there was no doubt. Only quiet strength. The next morning, when she opened her inbox, there wasn't just news coverage. There were letters. Hundreds of them. From store employees quitting in protest. From customers demanding better. From students saying they were applying to law school because of her. And in the middle of them all, one short message. Thank you for not walking away quietly. The supermarket manager threw coffee at a black mother, not knowing she was a human rights lawyer secretly recording. 1 year later, Maya stood in a different kind of room. This one wasn't a courtroom or a news studio. It was an auditorium, the kind with polished wooden floors, rows of folding chairs, and banners hanging from the ceiling. Community Justice Summit, building a fairer tomorrow. She was the keynote speaker. As she stepped up to the podium, Maya took a slow breath, scanning the crowd. Activists, students, business owners. Some had flown in from other states, holding programs with her name printed in bold. But Maya wasn't here to talk about her win. That chapter was over. Her focus now was what came next. Most people think change happens with one big moment. Maya began, voice clear but calm. A single case, a single law, a single viral video. She paused, letting her words settle. But that's not the truth. Real change is slower. It's thousands of quiet choices. Thousands of people deciding today is the day they don't stay silent. The audience was silent, leaning in. I didn't walk into Midtown Market expecting a civil rights battle, she continued. I walked in like any mother, just trying to buy groceries. And I walked out covered in coffee but also covered in proof. She smiled faintly. Proof that even now, in 2025, some systems would rather humiliate a black woman than treat her as an equal. But also proof that we can hold those systems accountable. Maya stepped back from the podium as the applause began to rise. Not loud or chaotic, steady, purposeful. Afterward, as she mingled with attendees, a woman approached her quietly. Middle-aged, wearing a supermarket employee badge. Maya? The woman asked nervously. Yes, Maya said, turning. I work for Midtown. I stayed after everything. I helped rewrite the policies. We have new training now. Real training. And I wanted you to know it's different. Maya felt something tight loosen in her chest. Thank you, she said simply, because that was the goal all along. That evening, as Maya left the summit and walked through the city, she noticed something small but striking. Window signs on storefronts. A new decal, bright red and gold, with bold black letters. Certified Fair Commerce Partner. It was part of the Community Witness Project's legacy. A voluntary program for businesses that agreed to independent audits, anti-discrimination training, and public accountability. Not a government mandate. Community standard. One that customers now looked for and expected. At a coffee shop on the corner, Maya paused to grab a drink. The barista, a young black man with dreadlocks and a shy smile, recognized her instantly. On the house, he said quietly, sliding her a cup. Maya accepted it with a nod of thanks, then stepped back onto the sidewalk. And that's when she saw Dennis, standing across the street. At first, she wasn't sure it was really him. His hair was shorter, his posture different, less aggressive, more subdued. But when their eyes met, there was no mistaking it. For a long moment, they simply looked at each other. Two people whose lives had collided in a way neither had expected. Dennis was the first to speak. His voice was rough, quieter than she remembered. I've been volunteering, he said simply, as if picking up an unfinished conversation. At a center, helping with addiction recovery. Maya didn't say anything right away, just watched him carefully. I lost my job, Dennis continued, glancing down. Deserved it. But I wanted you to know I see it now. What I didn't see then. There was no script for this moment. No legal guidebook. Just two human beings standing on opposite sides of a story. Finally, Maya answered. Calm. Firm. I don't forgive easily, she said honestly. But I do believe people can change. If they want to. Dennis nodded once. I'm trying. With that, he turned and walked away, blending into the city crowd. Maya watched him go, her mind unexpectedly quiet. Later that night, back in her apartment, she found Layla waiting up on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, reading a graphic novel. Long day, Layla asked sleepily. Maya smiled, setting down her bag. Long year, she said. Layla grinned and scooted over so Maya could sit beside her. Did it work? Layla asked after a pause. All of it. Maya didn't answer right away. Instead, she pulled out her phone, opening the Community Witness app. The map loaded slowly, dots flickering to life. Red pins, yellow pins, green pins, more every day. And not just reports of discrimination anymore, reports of fair treatment, too. Of positive change. Proof that the system wasn't perfect yet, but that it was moving. Maya handed Layla the phone, letting her see for herself. You tell me, Maya said softly. Layla stared at the map, eyes wide, then smiled. I think it's working. Together, they sat in quiet peace, mother and daughter, city lights glowing outside the window. And Maya truly knew that even the smallest moments could build into something larger than any one person. Not just justice, but progress.